Good morning, everybody, and good afternoon. It's Miss Bachachin here, and I want to talk to you today about the idea of value. We've talked a lot about color this month. Value is a fancy word for how light or dark a color is. So here's our color wheel. We've got a regular old color wheel. As we add black to something, or white to something, it changes how dark or light it is, and that's what value means. If you add black to something, we refer to that as a shade. If we add white to it, it's called a tint. You can see here are tints, and what you're going to be doing today is you're going to be making a beautiful landscape using either watercolors, crayons, or colored pencils. I'm going to recommend not using markers just because it's very hard to add black and white to markers. Watercolor is probably the best tool. And what you're going to do, I've got a landscape here, is we're going to be making layers of color, adding black to make it darker as things come close, and then thinning out and making things lighter, either with a white colored pencil, white crayon, or by adding more water to your watercolor. Let me show you how I made this landscape. You can do mountains if you want. You could do a cityscape. You could do a kind of a fantasy world. What I'm going to do to begin is I'm going to use Sharpie. I recommend that you start in pencil, and I'm just going to make a series of slopes and crests. Please do at least 4. If it helps you, you can mark one of the ones in the middle. Hue. Hue is a fancy word for what color you use. Okay? And down here, shade. Shades are going to be the darkest ones towards the bottom, and as you get higher up, tints. Okay? Just to kind of mark that. Hue is going to be the purest color that you have with no black or white added. And then as you come down from hue, you're going to progressively add more darkness to it. This is going to create the illusion of things going off into the background like a really misty mountain. I've included a picture in the slideshow that shows that. Okay, so very basically what I'm going to do is have my paintbrush. Helps to have a rag or a paper towel, a little bit of clean water. And I'm going to start with some green for this one. Grab a little bit of my green. Remember, the more you spin, the more you win, the brighter that color is going to be. Really have fun filling in that space. Make it as crisp and clear as you would like. The closer that you hold your brush to that metal part called the ferrule, the more control you have if you're going for really nice crisp lines. And just like when we talked about things that are in the foreground, middle ground, and background, if you'd like to add more details, like trees, animals in the foreground, you can totally do that. Have some fun with it. I'm going to go a little bit faster just so that I can show you the idea. All right, so I'm making my hue nice and bright. As I pull that color downward, I'm going to add a little bit of black to it. So I'm going to rinse my brush, grab a little bit of black. Black is very strong because remember, black is all the colors mixed together. So it won't take much. And you'll find that it also makes your water very, very dark very quickly because it's so intense. So I've added a little bit of shade, and as I go downward, I'm going to add more black. So the bottommost one is going to be the darkest, and the topmost one is going to be the lightest. I'm going to rinse my brush, grab more of that same hue, and you could do a blended hue if you're feeling fancy, like if you want a teal hue or a red-orange hue, blue-green. Green on there. Really try to fill right to the edges. If you are painting, it helps to have a messy mat underneath just to kind of make your cleanup easier. All right, to do a tint, I'm going to keep my brush super clean. I'm going to add a little clean water right on my paper.